yo, 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 yo. Ay, 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 coño. What a coincidence that the word yo is in coño.
Yo, word.
Think about that for a sec. All right.
What's up with the police sirens, Fran? Don't you think it's a little stereotypical for a show called Latinos Out Loud?
You know what? I never thought of that.
Damn,
Frank,
now you I know right.
right.
About the gunshots. That's even worse.
I mean, because the gunshots could maybe people could like maybe they think it's like, you know, when you start a race and somebody just shoots the gun
and they're off, right?
But then the cop sirens lets you know, oh no, there has been a shooting going down right now. So
I'm gonna get the ambulance. I'm gonna start doing the ambulance. I was thinking about the ambulance sign or the sound or the ice cream one.
Yeah, something PG-13, yo. Like,
okay, all right.
Maybe do that sound like of a fire hydrant. That's a fire hydrant that's on or something like that, you know.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking about the MTA one too. You know, when they closing the door. Clear the closing doors, please.
Bing bong. Bing bong is kind of a thing now, though.
It is a thing. Although, is it a thing anymore?
No, it was a thing for like 2 weeks. So there's something going on in LA, right? The LA City Council.
Frank, Jamie, another Latina bites the dust. Here we go.
What?
I mean,
what happened?
Here we go. Frank, you got to tell everybody because you seem to be really on tap with Nudi Martinez, who was member of the Los Angeles City Council.
How do you spell that? Nudi, like Nudi,
Nudi, N-U-R-Y.
I thought it was like Nudi, like N-U-D-I-E, you know?
No, she didn't leak nudies out there. No, her name is Nudi, N-U-R-Y, and Nudi got herself into some duty. Okay?
Yo, she hot, bro. I think she resigned.
Okay, but what did she do? What did she do?
Someone in her camp, I guess it was her camp or someone's camp, was recording her as she was talking about negatively about people of color, black people. So she said some racist stuff that was messed up. But like, I don't know, man.
Check it. I actually, so October 9th, leaked audio surfaced to the public, and it was a private meeting between your girl Nudi Martinez, city council president for LA, and then other council members were involved. A guy called Kevin De Leon, he should know better.
Damn.
Kevin. Ron Herrera, so there's a lot of Latinos in this group being racist.
Ay, 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 santísimo. Ay, ay, ay. So she resigned on Monday, it looks like, right? And she's going to be taking a leave of absence while maintaining her city council seat in the interim. Yo, but let me just say this. And wait, let me take it back a step because we should insert the audio. Can we now insert the audio and then comment on it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. So let me just for editing, Augusto, let's just take it back. Well, here we are talking about what she said. Why don't we just play what she said? Because the audio leaked and we could play it.
Is this legal? Is this legal to play it?
Was it legal for her to say it? I don't know.
All right, play it.
Say it, we play it.
We'll deal with the law. We'll deal with the law later.
Okay.
You know? But yo, that's messed up too, man. They did it on the low, you know, like she didn't know that she was being recorded. That's messed up too, man.
Let's talk about
what you saying privacy can be used against you too?
Well, okay, let's talk about that.
She's a public official, so I guess she's on public's time. Like you could record her and whenever you want. Even though what she said was messed up too. That is messed up. And being a public official,
yeah, she works for the government, the city local government.
I mean, come on, you're gonna call another city council member's black son as a little monkey, which is what one of the things that was said.
No, that's messed up. But
that's crazy. But you don't even like. You should know that there's always a potential that someone is listening out there. I don't know. We live in an age where, not that you have to like bite your tongue during private conversations, but this was a conversation between other elected officials. And to me, that's a meeting. That's like a business meeting. Like, Y'all need to like chill with that shit.
Take that somewhere else, man.
She also talked about redistricting and like making it benefit her friends. Like there was all kinds of wrong in this conversation.
A lot of people on Twitter and IG are saying that, that exists in their families, and that Latinos also have that in their mindset, and we got to chill, and it's a check on all of us. You know what I mean?
Like, who do we trust right now? That it's hard to trust any politician, right? Because I just feel like a lot of everyone is just coming off a little too shady for my taste in this day and age, right?
Wow, Jay Ferns.
The power of audio, guys. I mean, we're living through it right here, right now on the Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Wow.
This is a powerful medium. Audio is powerful. Okay.
Jeez.
Audio yields superior engagement. They listening to every word.
I better be careful with my phone in my pocket. I better be careful with the pigeons around me. I better just be careful. Yeah.
The pigeons?
You're being transcribed for sure.
Oh, the
You're
pigeons. Yeah,
definitely-
we're going back to the pigeons that are spies. The
Yeah,
pigeons.
man.
I'm glad this sort of leak stuff wasn't happening during like my college years, because a bunch of bad phone sex calls would have leaked from my end, and it would have been like, damn, Jamie, what is happening right now? This is not pillow talk. This is like suffocate with a pillow talk.
Here's something that's not so much of a leak, but it does speak to the power of audio and the power of podcasts, POP. You guys listened to the true crime podcast Serial, right?
Yes, you told me a lot about it, Rachel.
And Serial and Jamie, I know he was disappointed. He thought it was a podcast about cold cereal, about Lucky Charms and shit. No, check out Serial if you haven't. But today, just today, October 11th, 2022, 6 hours ago, it was announced that Adnan Syed, who is the accused and then imprisoned BK murderer in the Serial podcast, has had all charges dropped in his case.
Holy smokes.
U.S. prosecutors have dropped all charges against Baltimore Adnan Syed, whose case garnered worldwide attention through a podcast called Serial. He served 23 years in prison, people. Damn. He was convicted of murder, and he was convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend while he was in high school. And if you haven't checked out this podcast, I mean, I'm sure it's going to gain another like wave of listeners after this news story. But those of us that heard it, like, you're left with such doubt. What they thought was circumstantial evidence, or what one would think was circumstantial evidence, clearly was not.
Wow.
There are holes in this legal system, and a podcast found those holes. The power of podcast, people, POP.
Wow.
We actually had the pleasure of talking to somebody else who has a lot of cultural force behind him, and that's Moises Mendez. Guys, we spoke to Moises Mendez, who's the culture reporter for Time Magazine. Time Digital is Time. You know.
Wow.
Time after time.
Thank you. That's it. Exactly.
This is a time and time again.
All of it. There's so many time jokes, right? I just had the best cheese with Time out in Spain. It was so good. That's Miami. Wrong media outlet. Okay, so check this out. He's the cultural reporter, and he's Dominican. Dominicano. All right. Es tiempo. It's time. So why don't we get into this interview right now with culture reporter Moises Mendez.
All right.
Guys, this is very exciting, and this is the part of the show here at Latinos Out Loud where we interview someone amazing. I said that fast. I'll slow it down. This is the part of the show where we interview someone
amazing.
For the gringos, yes.
Oh, it's for everybody. Every papi, every mommy. Please, everybody, I'm going to introduce this person. Really excited to have him on this show. I know he's going to outsmart us all. Okay. I'm just saying it right now. Can I give you a little intro? Like, do you mind if I do a ladies and gentlemen?
It's going to probably be the best one.
Caballeros. Moises Mendez is a staff writer at Time. Like Time, Tiempo, Time Magazine. He covers internet culture, movies, books, TV, podcasts, and music. His work can be seen in The Atlantic, Rolling Stone, Fast Company, HuffPost, y más. Put your hands together and your magazines in the air for Moises Mendez. Hello.
Thank
Hola,
you.
¿cómo estamos? Siéntate, ven
Oh
pa'
God.
acá.
Yeah.
Wow, this is like the best introduction. Everyone's like so happy. I love this year.
Yeah.
We take our intros very serious.
Yeah,
Okay?
and honestly, invite me back and I will be just as excited the next time around.
I hope to have you back again and again.
Please.
It's
Mm.
about time. You know what
It's
I
about
mean?
damn time.
It's
Literally, yeah.
about damn time. And no pun intended, the fact that you work at time and it's
Yep.
time for you to be on LOL. Welcome. Bienvenido,
Thank
amigo.
you.
¿Cómo
Thank you guys
estás?
for having me. I'm so excited to be
Yeah.
here.
How are you? That's my first question. How are you?
Good. I've been in LA for almost a month now. Just because I wanted to get out of the city right before like the fall started.
Hey, you're really smart, by the way. Inteligente. I
Thank
knew it off the
you.
bat because you out there enjoying the sunshine while you can. We here in New York, it's like
Mhm.
sunny but dismal at the same time. It's weird, right? Like we
Yeah.
outside and the sun is shining. Then you're like, yo, why is it so brick? What the
Dead
hell?
ass.
You
Yo,
know what I'm
I'm
saying?
not the start of fall is when you have to take out your air conditioner out of the window. And I'm not looking forward to doing that because I'm like, I love being in my room just like so cold and it's so nice. But like once I get back, I'm gonna be like
Cold.
freezing cold. Like it's gonna be insane. But I can't wait to get back kind of a little bit.
Where you from, Jose?
Get the parkas ready. Sorry.
Well, my family, they're from Rockland County, which is like, north of the city, so across the Hudson from Westchester. Lived there for like 18 years, and then I moved to the city to go to Fordham,
Whoop,
and
whoop.
that's where I went to
Okay.
school. But I did not go to the Bronx campus. I went to the
Oh.
Manhattan campus.
All
Yeah,
right. There's a big difference there. Okay.
yeah, there is
Geographically, of course.
a very big difference is all I'll say. Yeah.
Ooh.
And that was an experience, but went through it, and then I went to grad school, and that was a lot better. So I
So
enjoyed that
there
a lot
are
more.
degrees here. There are
There
degrees
are,
here.
there are.
Congrats on all those degrees.
Thank
That's a
you, thank
lot.
you.
And
My
may the
family, like,
education continue.
we have like just a wall of all of our degrees because we're like kind of smart and it's like kind of nice. So we just like when people walk in, they see all of these things on the wall. They're like, oh, all right, wow, you guys have a lot of degrees in this
Is there
family. It's like,
wallpaper under there, or is it just a bunch of diplomas?
It's just a bunch of diplomas, literally. That is the
That's
wallpaper.
amazing. Yo, you hear me? That's
Yeah,
amazing.
of
Yo,
course.
look, let's get into this because you have a really, really cool job.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah,
I'm
it
just
is.
gonna put that out there. His title is like Funky Fresh. Do the kids even say that anymore? I don't know.
Kind of,
I'm trying to be cool in front of the culture reporter of Time.
Mhm,
It's not working. So I'm not gonna use any adjectives from the 80s or 90s again, but please explain
mhm,
to us what is this really cool job that you have? What does it mean
mhm.
to be the culture reporter for Time?
Hmm.
That is a fantastic question because every day that I do this job, it changes and there's something new to do that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, but I'm doing that. So basically, my job consists of consuming a lot of different types of media. So whether that be TV, that be documentaries, which I'm falling in love with, and I'm watching so many crazy documentaries,
Ooh.
movies, um, books. I interview authors. Going to be doing interviews with podcast hosts. I'm going to be doing, just all of these different things that I'm just genuinely really excited about. And I get to work with incredible journalists who have specialties in, different types of things. And they're also incredibly smart. And we all learn from each other and we talk every day. And, sometimes we just fool around in the Slack and just send each other memes and stuff. And it's a great job. Yeah.
Shout out
That
to Slack.
noise
Everybody
triggers my fight or
corporate.
flight. Yep. You know that noise. It's like, oh
Attach
God, what did I
file.
do?
I'll
Yep.
slack it to you. It's become like the word Smurf, right? Like instead of saying
Exactly.
Smurf, like it's Slack. Like, hey, want to go get Slack? I don't know. Really, it's only used for corporate, but you know what I'm saying. It's used a
No,
lot in
exactly.
the corporate environment.
Mhm.
LOLeros, did you guys hear that? Did you hear what
Mhm.
Moises does? So like a lot of us do this and don't get paid for it. But you go to school, you get your
Mhm.
degree, your degrees in this
Degrees,
case.
plural.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Degrees
Yeah.
is. And
Degrees is.
and
Degrees is, yep.
you could do this for a living and
Yeah.
make a living out of it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's rewind just a bit in time. I'm going to use this word several times
Please.
during
I
this
feel
interview
like time
because
would
of
love it.
the nature where you were. Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
come up in some SEO, aren't we?
Yeah,
It's great.
exactly.
I'm going to keep on saying
Right
time.
there at
It's
the
like,
top.
it's like Pee Wee's Playhouse when he would say the word of the day. I'm just going to keep saying time. And everybody else go,
Time.
ah!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, rewind in
Yeah.
time.
Let's do it.
Talk to us about what you went to school for, only because I know there are LOLeros, that's our hive, all the
I love
fans.
that. Mm-hmm.
All 6 or 7 of them are listening right now, and they're like, no, we've grown a little, maybe 10. So some of them may be college students right now,
Okay.
and wondering what can they do with their degree or degrees. I for sure, and by the way, shout out to CUNY graduate, Brooklyn
Yes.
College.
Shout out to
Yeah.
CUNY. Yep.
I see
Love
you,
a CUNY school.
LinkedIn. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
confused at one point. I didn't even declare my major until sophomore year. And then I
Mm-hmm.
declared a minor my junior year because I'm like, well, I took enough Puerto Rican and Latino studies classes. I might as well take 2 more and call it a minor. You know
There
what
you
I mean?
go. Exactly.
But
Mhm.
I also wasn't really quite sure what to do with this marketing degree and minor in Puerto Rican and
Mm.
Latino studies. So could you talk to us about like what you focused in or
Mhm.
on in school and what your degrees are in and sort of how you figured out that you can, aspire to this within your career path?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it started when I was like 16 and I was watching E! News all the time.
Oh,
And I was just trying to
snap.
figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And it was like I was obviously in junior year, so I was trying to figure out like what was next. Because that's the biggest moment where you're like applying to colleges and all of that fun stuff. But I did that, and then my senior year of high school, I was just, really ready to like get out of my hometown. So I started taking college level courses in high school. So was already just on my way to like getting that associate's degree. Yeah. So by the time I got to community college, I had already had a year finished. So went directly into undergrad with like an extra year. Lots of things happened at Fordham. Had not a great experience there
Oh
because I really did
no.
not enjoy like the classes that I was taking, and the professors that I had, they all played favorites. And if they didn't think you had the potential to be a journalist, they were like, okay, shut up.
Oh,
Ooh.
we
I
gotta
had,
unpack this.
Yo.
We
Drop
gotta
the
I'm not
tea,
gonna name
bro.
names. I'm not gonna name names, but I will say the experience that happened.
Okay.
I had this one professor who taught a class, and I wrote a profile. Granted, it wasn't great, but she was just like, I just don't like it. I was like, why not? And she's like, I just don't. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, well, that's not very helpful. And she was my advisor. So
Mm.
she was not great either. And I asked her, I was like, hey, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to do print or broadcast. Like, what should I do? She was like, oh, that's not my job. I just have to take the hold off your account. I was like, so whose job is it? Who's going to help me? And me, I don't take anything lying down. I went to the chair of that department and I was like,
Go
hey, so
ahead.
this is what my advisor is saying. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then she became my advisor. She helped me so much more.
Claudette change.
Exactly. I was
Okay.
like, thank God. And then for some reason, I took another class with her because she was the only one giving that class. And I was like, talking about what I was going to do after graduation. Like, I had applied to grad school, but I didn't know if I got in yet. But I was like working with this really incredible journalist named Jennifer Kaishan Armstrong. And I was like introduced to her by a professor who said she needed help fact checking a book. And it was about Sex and the City, which is one of my favorite shows of all
Oh,
Oh
yes.
time.
man.
Oh,
And I was like,
I
yes.
saw
sign
that.
me up.
I saw the whole thing with my ex. I love
Oh,
it.
it's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
honestly,
Amazing.
oh, it's great. It has a lot of problems, which we talked about. But, during that interview, it was supposed to be like half an hour. It turned into an hour and a half because we were just talking for so long. And she's like, you have the job. Like, let's do this together. And I was like, great. So I told her that, and I was helping her doing a couple different things. And my professor was like, you know, she asked what everyone was doing. She came to me. She's like, so what are you going to do, Moises? And I was like, oh, I'm doing this thing. And she was like, well, that's not real journalism. Don't kid yourself. In front of the whole
Mm.
class. And I was
Damn.
like, oh my God. I was like, okay, just stab me like right in the heart. I was like,
Damn.
whatever. Like, I went to grad school. She also loved to say like, oh, when I worked at the New York Times, and I was like, okay, yeah,
Oh,
With the flick of the
1997, the
hair.
year I was fucking born. Like,
please.
yeah, I was like, okay, who gives a shit? Like, whatever.
Right.
Still not a great teacher, but finished undergrad, went to grad school, met all of my best friends, all incredible journalists who all have staff writing jobs now, and they're all amazing. And that's where I kind of like figured out like I wanted to do internet culture. Like I kind of stumbled into it. And I had to do like the big project at the end, which is like our capstone. I went to the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY.
I
So shout out CUNY. We love a
CUNY,
CUNY.
what city, University, New York. Woo, woo.
Dead ass. I love a CUNY school. That is my shit because I paid significantly less money at this CUNY school than I did at Fordham. And I learned so much more at CUNY than I did at
Wow.
Fordham.
Look
But
at
you know,
that.
Fordham, don't come for me, whatever. Y'all want a sponsorship or something? I don't know. But
Listen, we are not for them, okay, on this
exactly.
podcast after
Exactly.
hearing your story. Quite
So, yeah.
disturbing, actually.
I did that. I went to CUNY, did this capstone on a like on a problem that I was seeing a lot. So I used gay dating apps, and I saw that a lot of people were like pushing crystal meth, and like they were like, let's do crystal meth together, let's have sex, whatever, whatever. So I kind of dug deeper into this problem that was like, you know, a big problem within the community. So I went to Crystal Meth Anonymous meetings, and that was really emotional. And I just like spent time with these former, you know, substance abuse users, and learned a lot there. So once I published that, started working with other publications, and kind of just stumbled my way into writing for like Rolling Stone and Vice and Huffington Post.
Whoop,
And
whoop,
Wow.
whoop.
then
Sorry,
I
the
got my job
siren
at
comes
Time.
out. That's my support siren, and it just comes out, and I cannot
No,
contain it.
and I want it all the time. Please and thank you.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry.
Moise, what makes a good journalist?
Ooh.
Someone who asks a lot of questions, because you can't just take things at face value, because you know some people have their own agendas, or you know people are trying to push a certain thing. Like I feel like I've gotten better as a journalist when I realize that not everyone is on my team. They're on their own team. So I had to figure that out, sometimes the hard way. And definitely someone who also is very personable, because a lot of like my job is making connections with people and making sure that they feel comfortable, especially with dealing with something like, you know, substance abuse disorder, where these people were telling me their whole lives and their worst moments, and you know obviously they've gotten through it and they're comfortable talking about it, but I've also had to talk to the people who were, you know, victims of sexual assault, and being like, listen, I'm here for you. I'm here to tell your story. So I need you to, you know, tell me when you're not comfortable, or tell me when something is too hard to talk about, because then we can redirect. So having those sorts of relationships with people and making them feel comfortable, it not only makes the job easier, but you then can, you know, foster a sort of relationship with them for something further down the line if you need something again, and which is really nice.
You really dug deep on that one. Wow.
Mhm.
You were
Thanks.
down in
Wow.
the gutters on
I've
that
lived a
one.
lot of lives. I've done a lot of things, you know? So
Holy
Wow.
smokes. You know, like you watch shows like Inventing Anna, and you know,
oh
the
god.
journalist character,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
y'all be digging.
Yep.
Digging in the
Mhm.
crates.
And I
Yep.
want to know, I want to know more about that.
Mhm.
Only because sometimes you dig and you strike gold, but sometimes you dig and you must not strike gold. And I don't
Girl,
know.
do
Yeah,
I
like,
have a story for you?
ooh, I love it. Tell us.
So
Tell us.
one of the hardest stories I ever had to do was about this like this trend on social media, this hashtag called Surviving Sophia. If you've heard of it, do you know of it?
Yeah, sounds familiar.
No.
Yeah. So it is this woman named Sophia, allegedly, who, you know, went around basically befriending influencers and saying, hey, let's hang out, whatever. She that gets super close with them, and then she asks them to buy things for her, like hotels, flights,
Yeah.
food, anything, and she'll say, "Oh, I'll pay you back," but then never did. So a lot of these influencers kind of caught up to that scheme, and they all started making these videos on TikTok, being like, "There's this girl named Sophia Nur who's going around saying that she'll pay you back, but then never did," and allegedly people were going around saying that she racked up an $11 million like check. Like she never
Wow.
paid back $11 million, which is
Wow.
absolutely insane. That's so false. Like
Wow.
that's not even possible because if we saw, Inventing Anna, who went around doing this for 4 years, she didn't even get like a quarter of the way to $11 million. Like
Mm.
Right. They
she
caught
had
on to
like,
her.
yeah, they caught onto her super quick. And like she didn't even get up to $1 million. She got up to like $275,000, which is quite crazy. So
Why was I rooting for her? Why? I was like, come on, Anna. Come on, bitch.
like
You got it,
honestly,
girl.
take for the
I
rich,
was rooting for
they won't
her.
miss it,
On behalf of
but
all the chapeadoras out there, come on,
Yo.
honestly, yeah, literally. So when I was reporting up this Surviving Sophia story, I was running into so many roadblocks. I was trying to reach out to the people there's a group of influencers who made this like Twitter space, Twitter space,
Oh,
where they would get on and they started talking about all the things that happened with this person. And
juicy.
yeah, so but there was so many roadblocks because the people that I reached out to wouldn't respond back to me. So I had to
Ooh.
like find different ways to go around it because obviously at the center of this story is Sophia. But there's other people who were like closer and closer to her. So her cousin made a Twitter thread about her, try to reach out to her cousin. Then if you go further out, we try to get the influencers. Those influencers weren't that close with her, and they just feel like can't don't want to put words in their mouth, and I don't want to assume anything. But what I was told was that a lot of them have felt like they closed the book on their end, that they figured it all out, they don't want to tell anyone about it, and they're just like,
Mm.
okay. So I had to go further out to the people who had like one or two interactions with her, which is what I got from my Rolling Stone story. And those people said that they met her one night in Vegas, or they met them at this thing, and like, they just had this weird night with her. And they were like, something doesn't make sense here. So those were the stories I got. But
It's really
if I was
good.
able to like dig deeper, there was a wealth there. There was just like so much like interesting stuff that I could not get to.
Mm.
So, I obviously wanted and I tried so hard, and it took a lot of convincing. It took a lot of work, and it was honestly like 2 months of work, but
Wow.
I did what I did, and it got published on Rolling Stone. So that's also really cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is fascinating, Frank, right? Like, this is a
Mhm.
process in case the LOLeros, you guys are seeing this, right? Like, the pattern
Mhm.
here. This just doesn't happen overnight. Reporting and digging deep in the layers of a story. It's really quite
Yeah.
fascinating. It's something that you see on television, and we're hearing about it
Mhm.
firsthand right
Yeah.
here. Okay, I know we're talking for a while here. I have a few more questions.
Please.
So humble brag, not really, but before I took the leap from corporate to comedy, I worked at
Mhm.
Time Inc. for 8 years.
Amazing.
I
I
worked at
love
People
that.
and Espanol magazine.
Oh, cool. I love that.
Yes, I was in the marketing department at People en Español. Anyway,
Yeah.
working at 1271 Avenue of the Americas when we were over
Mm.
there, like, the Mad Men building that the show is
Mhm.
based on. It
Mhm.
really was like a culture shock riding the elevator to the 27th floor. So I worked at People en
Mm.
Español. Latinos are in the building. You know what I'm saying? It's People en
Yeah, yeah.
Español. The magazine is in
Dímelo.
Spanish. Like, what do you think? You know
Deadass,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so I would be in that elevator bank with In Style and Golf
Mhm.
magazine, to name a few. Um, People Style Watch, People, regular people. And I did not see a lot of Latino and Latina X, A,
Mm.
E, Y, Z faces riding in
Yep.
those elevators
Yep.
back then. I would love to talk to you from your perspective as a Latino,
Mhm.
Dominicano,
Yep.
navigating this corporate map of
Mm.
journalism for a
Mhm.
brand that really highlights your passion points. What are
Mhm.
some of the barriers that you have encountered yourself, if
Mm.
any? And how do you
Mm.
navigate that space? Does
Mm.
you're a culture reporter. Does your
Mhm.
own culture come out of
Oh
you?
Word. I was gonna
yes.
say that. I was gonna say that. Word.
Trust me, I definitely try to push as much as I can, especially when it comes to Spanish language and Latine culture in general. I mean, I've written for Mezcla and I
Woo
love them. They're
We love
all
Oh.
great.
Resmezcla.
Shout out
Andrew.
Alexis, like that's my
Uh-huh.
girl. Yep,
Woo.
all of them. They're all amazing. So I learned a lot from them about how to go about reporting this culture and just I also I'm not fluent in Spanish. I was spoken to it growing up, so I understand it more than I speak it. So that was a big learning curve for me when I started to like work at Remezcla and like, just sort of understand how to go about something I don't speak fluently. So in that space, I didn't feel like I fit in that well. And then now going into this space with, these legacy publications, I feel like, you know, I have to explain things a lot more. And I have to make my own space there to be like, okay, well, if you want me to be here, I have to have something that I have to be the expert in, um I have to be, the person that you look to for these sorts of things. And it was hard doing that at first. Like I definitely want to be that at time, but it's new. I have to make that I have to trying to think of the right words here. It's definitely a process and I'm new, I'm trying my best, but it's not easy because no matter what, no matter where I go, I know that we're outnumbered. And not great, but it's still a process of getting more Latinas people in this industry. So I feel like, helping push these legacy publications to write about Latin culture is definitely a start to get more people in the industry as well.
Yes, and
Mm.
we've been talking about this, Moises. Well
Mhm.
said. We've been
Thank you.
talking about moving the needle in the way that you can.
Hmm.
Eloeleros,
Hmm.
all of us can really do that. It's
Yeah.
through whatever your job, volunteerism, writing our
Hmm.
stories.
Hmm.
It's out there to do. We can shift more than
Yeah.
we think we can. So you're
Hmm.
doing that in your career, which I have to say that's a really great collision of
Yeah.
merging those passion points, doing it for the culture, and doing it as to make a living. We need to make a freaking
Yeah.
living.
It starts as small as like, just making sure that you have a diverse set of sources, just like not only speaking to white people, not only speaking to cisgendered
Mm.
people, not only speaking to, certain groups that have already been overrepresented in these spaces. So,
Mm.
just I'm starting doing by doing that. And it was always a thought in my mind being like, okay, well, I have this source, I have this source. What else do I need to sort of paint a fuller picture? But also when it comes to like people I want to cover, like I have an idea for Tokicha because that's my
Yeah.
girl.
Okay.
Oh
I
my God,
love
I love
her.
her. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. What's this new dance? What's this dance she's doing?
What did you
What?
just do? You set her
What?
off.
Okay, stop.
I know. I love her so much.
Stop. Pause. Please pause on the podcast. Okay, we now are bringing to you live Tokisha Out Loud with your
Yep,
hosts,
that's it.
Moises, Rachel
Yep.
Aloka, and Frank
Let's
Mason.
do it.
Yo.
Sorry for
We
you gotta
interrupt this
go.
program to bring you TOL, Tokisha Out Loud.
Tokicha out
Okay,
loud. And that's totally
so
fine,
what's
and I'm
this new
ready.
dance? What is the new dance that she's doing where her lips is like going
La mueca,
crazy?
la mueca, mueca,
Oh my
What's
mueca.
god.
happening?
That's the
I
mueca
literally
song.
don't know. Oh my
Explícame.
god.
Frank seems
Please.
to know. Frank, we're gonna go
Yeah.
live to you. Frank,
There's a
tell us
song.
what is this?
There's a hot song right now called La Mueca. I don't know who sings it. It's called Mueca. And Mueca in Spanish means to move your face like like this. So you do like dumb
Interesting. Oh,
faces.
okay.
Yeah, so it's called
Hmm.
Mueca. So that's what she's doing. She's
Is she
muecaing.
featured on the song or
No, it's just something that's DR when something gets hot in DR, everybody just
oh
starts doing it.
yeah.
So the
Hmm.
song says mueca, mueca, mueca means move your face like that. So like all the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
artists are doing it now. I don't know
It's
who sings it
ridiculous.
originally.
And go
Yeah.
to her Instagram and you will
Hmm.
see.
Instagram.
And go. right. Do we have anything else to say for this TOL segment? Should we go back to our regularly programmed podcast?
See, okay. My friends are always just like, Moises, love you, but you always got to break it down because I'm always just like, well, they did that one problematic thing. And I was like, so with Dokicha, when Rochi RD, he got charged with, I think, soliciting sex from a minor in Dominican Republic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he, was a big story in Dominican Republic, and Dokicha, love her, but like, my God, why did she do this? She wore a shirt that was like Free Rochi, and she was like, oh, she was kind of like victim blaming, and I was like, girl, why do we do these things? Can we just have nice things? Let me just have Tokicha and not all of the problematic mess. And that's like one thing too with like covering these people that I love who do these like problematic things. Nikki, Cardi, all of these like different, people in these spaces that I'm like, why? Why do you do this? Like I love Tokicha. We'll see what she does and how she recovers from this. But that was just one thing that I was like, Dokicha, girl,
Bad move.
sit down. Yeah, we love Bad Bunny, our unproblematic king.
Wow.
He hasn't done anything.
Unproblematic king.
Yep, our unproblematic king. J Balvin, go that way. Go over there. Sit down. Sit down too.
Well, I love that segment. That was Tokisha Out Loud here on the Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Yeah.
Now back to LOL. Okay, and we're back. That was awesome, guys.
I love that. That was an amazing detour.
Woo, Tokisha.
Mhm.
Okay, woo, I love that girl. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the print to digital segue. Okay.
Mhm.
When I was in the game, son, look, this is a long time ago. I was in the game.
A long time ago, Rachel.
I mean, okay, you want to talk years? The years. We'll talk the years. Okay. The years were I started in print in 2001 and I was working in the B2B space on some really exciting titles like Nation's Restaurant News. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Print was the thing though. It was the
it
freaking
was.
thing. There was something called the thump factor in a magazine. See, I worked in advertising and marketing. And when you drop that magazine on a table, the thump of that magazine as a marketer, I'm like, that is filled with 50% of ads. And that's got to be like an easy $1.25 pages right now. So, you know what I'm saying? That was a demonstration of my hard work. Where am I going with this? Somewhere, I promise.
Yeah. Okay. I'm here for the ride.
We're getting there.
Thank you. Well, print is no longer a thing. As a matter of fact, People in Espanol, the brand that I worked for recently, just went completely digital. So no more print edition. And several magazines, EW, right? Entertainment Weekly.
I think it was Meredith Dash in general. I could be wrong because EW too. Yeah, they're owned by Meredith. But...
So talk to us about that because you were somewhere in the mix between print to digital. What was that transition like? Did that open up the job space? Did that close up the job space? What did that do to the industry and how did that affect you personally?
Well, after grad school, I was freelancing because I graduated in December of 2019 and then March of 2020, everything went to shit. So there was a lot of different opportunities coming my way. And I started working for myself, which is weird. Yeah, and it's a weird thing as like a 23-year-old. I'm my own boss, and I'm like, I'm too immature for this. But, but I got the opportunity to write for Rolling Stone, which was an interesting dynamic because they're also Yep. No, we love Rolling Stone. They're great. Everyone there is awesome. And that was interesting because I never wrote for print before. Everything was digital because a lot of these publications don't have an actual print magazine. So I did my first print story for them in June of 2020, I want to say, or May 2020. And I just realized how much work is being put into closing the issue, sending it out to the printers, and making sure everyone has their stuff in on time, and fact checking, and all of this stuff, and all of those resources that gets put into that. I can see why these corporations don't want to put the money into it. Not saying I support it, but I'm saying like I can see the amount of work and the amount of stress that it puts on these people, that digital is just so much easier to maintain. So,
Oh, good point.
you
I
know,
mean,
yeah, I think the answer to your question is like, it hasn't affected me personally, because it was something that I feel it hasn't really shrunken the job market from what I've seen, because there really isn't a lot of jobs in journalism to begin with. Like, these places are laying off people en masse. Like, they are getting rid of like the most incredibly smart, talented journalists for profits, and that's the shitty part of it. But
sad.
In general, print is alive. It's sputtering out, but I have hope that like there's still interest in it enough for these corporations and these publications that still have it to keep it alive.
So what's
So
going to happen to the journalistic game eventually? And people, and how news is told, like,
I don't want to
what's
think
going to
about
happen in the
that.
future? Are you going to have more misinformation because you don't have actually humans
Ooh.
out, doing the, boots on the ground type of
Mhm.
journalism work that supposedly, this democracy has always had. So how do you see that in the
Yeah.
future?
That's a fantastic question, because
Yeah.
I feel like the more that we democratize the internet and the more that people are allowed to, just post and do whatever they want and act as news sources, there's a lot of potential for misinformation. But I'm very confident in a lot of my friends who are journalists and super smart and, can, smell bullshit from a mile away. Like, they're able to catch that. I don't think that with, the onset of, you know, print dying, that this is going to have an effect on, an increase in misinformation and disinformation. I think that the more that the people talk about it and the more that people are able to see the differences and, spot misinformation super quickly, then I think that we're going to be in a better spot for the future when it comes to a more digital space.
Mm,
So
all
Well
right.
said.
thank you.
Moises, we want to thank you for coming on the Latinos Out Loud
Thank
podcast and
you.
for doing what you do. What a story. I think you have more stories. Would you come back?
Please, I'll come
Oh,
back whenever you
You got
want.
stories for days.
I do. I'm 25, but I feel like I'm 85
oh
because
my
I've
God,
done so many
really?
different things. Yeah.
Wow,
But
you
I'm young, I'm like young at heart.
you do such great lists. I would love for you
Yeah,
to come
thanks.
back and maybe like count down the greatest things for us. I don't know,
Oh,
maybe
of
end of year.
course.
Would you come and do like the top 10 movies of 2022? Because I know you do that on your
Please.
Instagram, which is so dope, like album
Yeah.
wise with music. Um,
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And Jamie will have
maybe
fun.
I
Jamie
do
will have fun with him, Rachel.
I
Oh,
know. That's why he has to
yeah,
come
Man.
back.
yeah. Oh, I'm definitely
Dude.
ready. Let's do it.
Moises, thank you so much. Tell everybody your handles. And by the way, a round of applause for your verification status. My boy just got verified here. Yeah,
Yes.
yo. Yeah, yo.
I'm
Celebrate
going to
that
be
check.
so much more insufferable now. I'm going to be like, you have to listen to everything I say. I'm so annoying. But
Yo,
yes.
check yourself because I got that check. Okay. Go look next to
Okay.
my name.
Get us.
Checkmate. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you. Check,
On
please.
both Twitter and Instagram now.
Woo,
So
woo,
All
woo.
you can't tell me nothing. Literally.
Nada.
Double
Nada.
verificación.
Yes. But on Twitter and Instagram, I'm Moises, Moises Fenty, because I love Rihanna and I'm insane.
Oh yes. Oh yes. She made me want to put on gray sweatpants today. Did you see the video? That I mean, she's just so cozy. I
Girl,
want to
I have a Rihanna tattoo.
Oh my
I
God,
have
let
her
us
post
see.
notifications
Show
on.
us.
Wow.
Show us your ink. Show us
Yo.
your
The entire
ink.
tattoo right
I'm
there.
gonna pin you. Hold on. It's not gonna hurt. I'm gonna pin
Holy
you.
shit.
Yes, you
Wow.
Oh, you
do
need-
have a Rihanna tattoo.
I do. I'm that much of a fan. I've been
Wow.
following her since like 2010-ish. So
I'm
yeah,
bowing down to you because I
thank
love
you.
that. That's loyalty. And
Yep.
I applaud that. She's such a beautiful, beautiful like artist. And I love her
Yes.
too. I love her
Yeah.
makeup. I love her sweatshirts. I love
Yeah.
everything about her.
If anyone ever asked me like, well, when is her music coming? That is a trigger question to me. I don't know, and stop asking me because everyone fucking asked me, and I'm like, I'm waiting as long as you have. Like, but she's
I
performing at the
can.
Super Bowl, so
Oh shit.
Yes, it's
I
amazing.
forgot
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
No,
So that's
that's
why I'm
good
like,
though.
now that I'm verified and I'm gonna give recommendations, I'm gonna give
Woo!
so many more recommendations. So
Yes.
Wow.
The
just wait for
town
it.
crier, the town
Yes,
entertainment
exactly.
reporter. Everyone gather round and listen to the movies you must watch with Latino actors.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that was a great interview, y'all.
Yeah, man.
I wasn't I was in a part of the interview, but listening to it, I really appreciated the way you took your time.
Jamie,
Oh, there's
you and
another
this
one.
guy
There's another
forget
one
about it.
time. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? It was kind of a good thing. Well, not a good thing. It's never a good thing when you're not there. But I think the episode would have been 80,000 minutes long
Yeah.
because he knows so much. He's like a walking listicle. Top 10 movies,
Listicle.
top 10 albums, top 10 everything that has to do with pop culture. So you and him would have been like listicling it.
I mean, but
Forever.
Time Magazine is one of those magazines that kind of are intimidating, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I always felt like Time Magazine was for like grown-ups, and even as a grown-up, you're like, I don't know, I feel like I should be reading highlights for kids.
He's
Yes,
coming
Steve,
back. He
because
said
it's more
he said
genuine.
he's gonna come back. Rachel invited him back. So we might do some game some
Invited, that's a good word. I really like forced him. I was like, please don't say no and come back. End of year, he's gonna do his top 10 albums of 2022.
Ooh, ooh,
Ooh.
ooh.
Un, dos, tres, vamos a bailar otra vez. Que lo que, que lo que, que lo que, lo que, que lo que, que lo que, lo que. Un, dos, tres, menéate otra vez. Que lo que, que lo que, que lo que, lo que, que lo que, que lo que, lo que.
All right, you guys, it is now time for KLK, or as we know it, que lo que, que lo que, loco, que lo que, que lo que, que lo que, que lo
All
que,
right.
que lo que.
What?
Que lo que, Jamie?
Oh,
Dime.
me. Okay. So, como siempre, a big love to the peeps at Yero.com.
Alright.
I got to put some Spanglish in there. If you don't know Yero.com, it is the news and lifestyle platform for Latino men.
Alright.
So, mad props for keeping us all up on what's happening within the Latino community.
Facts.
And go check them at Yero.com if you haven't already. But if you listen to the show, you should already kind of know what Yero.com is. So go check it out. Also give a shout out to friend of the podcast, Elmo Di Foca.
Alright, Jerry.
He's presenting a sketch comedy show called Saint Sunday Comedy Show.
Ooh.
And it's gonna be October 14th at 6:30 p.m. at the Alianza Dominicana Cultural Center.
It's uptown.
That's uptown, West 166th Street.
All right.
So if you want to see some sketch comedy performed by an all Dominican cast, and FYI, there's some sketches of mine that will be performed on the show.
Alright.
So
The writer.
that should be fun to see. And I think they have a musical guest too, Afro Dominicano.
We love Afro Dominicano. We love them.
I love them, man. I remember when you guys were emceeing that party. I never forget that. That shit was dope. That was dope.
Jamie, that was one of the best nights of my life.
What? I was remembering that. I remember that 2 days ago, bro. That shit was the shit when you guys were emceeing that shit.
When me and Rachel host something, like there's fireworks. There's fireworks.
That shit was going crazy.
And that's it. Those are my I was gonna say bites.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's my geloge. That's my geloge.
Alright.
Who's
Frank,
next?
what you got, yo? What you got, Frank?
All right, guys. I want to tell you and everybody, happy Indigenous Day to everyone. Yeah, we changed it after the last 2 years with the COVID and everything. They knocked down all the statues and everything. So now it's Happy Indigenous Day. So we remember all the victims and people that went through this whole thing while Columbus came through. So there's no more Columbus.
They even
That's it. It's over. It's over. The colonizer day is over. It's now Happy Indigenous Day. I like that.
All right, I'm gonna go. I got a few. I'm gonna make them fast. All right, I hold up something that I've been waiting for from Amazon for
Okay.
a while now. And
Mm.
it's the new book by Christopher Rivas, former guest of the Latinos Out
Oh,
Loud podcast. His
oh,
book, Brown Enough, True Stories About Love, Violence, the Student Loan Crisis, Hollywood, Race, Familia, and
Ooh.
Making It in America. This is his new book, former guest of the podcast. You know him from the podcast about Porfirio Rubirosa. Okay. He also has a
James Bond,
podcast.
the
Yep.
Dominican James Bond, yo.
He also has another podcast that dropped called Brown Enough. And here's the supplement to that podcast, the book. Here's
Oof.
the book. And it's a
Oof.
thick one. Thank you, Christopher Rivas, for this gift. I pre-ordered on Amazon like a good friend. And like a good Amazon, I got it delivered today. So I'm really
Right.
excited to read that. Make sure you go cop his book. Okay. Big news dropping.
Mm,
Big news dropping.
mm.
Alert, comedy alert, comedy alert, comedy
Ooh.
alert.
Ooh.
Yo, son.
¿Qué
It's,
pasa?
it's been a minute since your girl has got back up on the stage and co-produced a comedy show. It's been a minute.
Ooh.
But I got an interesting phone call the other day from Puerto Rico, directly from the country,
Oh,
from another playwright comedian that I know. And she was like, yo, you and I got to do something for the communities in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico that were hit by the hurricane, because
Mm.
our job is not over. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to come back to the stage, I'm going to do comedy for a cause. And the cause is relief in our mother countries of Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. And we're doing the Tormenta Telethon live.
Yeah.
Live.
isn't that telethon where like you don't sleep?
Oh, well, I'm probably not going to sleep, but you know what we're doing? We're doing a throwback telethon PBS style, hosted
Ooh.
by your girl Rachel La Loca and Miss Angelina, live at the Triad Theater. I'm coming home, baby.
Oh,
I'm coming
snap.
home, baby.
Oh, snap.
Damn.
Coming home to the Triad Theater on October 18th at 8 p.m. Do you guys want to hear this lineup real quick?
Please
Yeah.
do.
Here we go. Hosted by, again, Rachel La Loca. You know her. Miss Angelina desde Puerto Rico.
Mm.
She and I met, by the way, as part of that NHMC showcase that we
Mm.
were writers in. And I love that we are forming like Voltron from across the seas and doing it for our communities. So we're doing this Tormenta Telethon live. We're going to make it rain for hurricane relief. Here are your comics. Mark Rain,
Ooh.
Glorelis Mora,
Mm.
Imagine, Julio Diaz,
Mm.
Tommy 5K,
Mm.
Black Rose,
Mm.
Ivan Manito,
Mm.
Stewie'ville, Elaine
Mm.
Crystal, Hip Hop Advocates, and Jonathan Rodriguez.
Yo.
Yes.
That's,
Yes.
caliente
that's
la
a lot of
vaina.
comedy.
That's a
Holy
lot of comedy,
shit.
and everybody's doing it for a cause, because we can and because we have to, for la comunidad latina.
That's dope.
Please
like
go to
that.
my Instagram for the ticket URL. You can find us on Eventbrite. You can find us on the Triad Theater's website. You can find us on instantseats.com, or you could just come and show up and buy a ticket too. We welcome you. Tickets are limited. Not a lot of seats. This is going to be an intimate thing, but yo, there will be an opportunity to call in and make a pledge if you want to donate. All right. So just hit me
Nice.
up. I'm really excited for this, and I'm just excited to be back on stage and back home at the Triad Theater. I haven't been on that stage since pre-pandemic with the hilarious show. We were on that stage. We touched down room 28, touched down on that stage many times, and they welcomed me back with open arms. And I'm just so excited to just come back. Yeah.
Nice.
So old school, like Jerry Lewis, like the telethons.
Yes, with a telethon raising funds for the communities that were affected by Hurricane Fiona in Puerto Rico and in the Dominican Republic. So holler at me at Rachel La Loca, getting choked up, at Rachel La Loca on the socials. Please follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud. Give us a call, 978 Latinos. We outside, we inside, we on your side too. So just please continue to support us. Thank you, LOLeros. And on that note, we out.